Welcome to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk, the show where we celebrate authors, stories, and the creative journey. I'm Jolene McFadden, your host, and I am so glad you are here today. This episode is sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing, where we help authors bring their books to life with publishing support, marketing, and resources designed to help writers thrive. Each week, I sit down with writers from across Florida and beyond to talk about their books, their inspirations, and challenges and joys of writing life. From seasoned professionals to new voices, these conversations are meant to encourage, educate, and inspire both readers and fellow writers. In today's episode, we'll be talking with Linda G. Smock, a children's author from Pinellas County, Florida. Linda's journey began with devotionals, but she soon discovered a passion for teaching children about the natural world through her stories. From honeybees to gopher tortoises, her books combine fun, imagination, and real science that sparks curiosity in young readers. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's dive into a conversation with Linda.
Hi, my name is Linda Smock, and I am an author of both children's books and Christian devotional books. I began writing originally for textbooks, but when COVID started, I also started chemotherapy for small cell lymphocytic leukemia, and I needed a project to do. The leukemia is cancer of the immune system, so I was more isolated than other people. And I decided I was going to go back on the skill I had of writing, and I was going to write Christian devotional books. So I began that. I completed 5 devotional books during the time I was isolated and also wrote a number of essays. I joined a writing club, and one of the essays that I wrote was about honeybees. I was encouraged to change that into a children's book. I sat on that idea for about a year, and I decided that was a very good idea and that I was going to do it. And so I went about trying to shorten my sentences and try to get the information that was only relevant to children, and really worked hard on changing it from an adult essay to a children's book. I did make it probably a little too long, in all honesty, but there's so much good information there. It's inviting to children. They love to read it, they love to learn from it. And I have continued writing children's books since then. All of them are scientific personifications of a creature, and they are very educational, they're fun, they're imaginative, they're interactive.
Now, as a children's writer, are you a member of the Children's Society Illustrators, Children's Authors and Illustrators, the SCRWI?
No, I am not a member. I do a Facebook page that is for children's authors and contribute to it.
Okay. All right. And you said you were a member of a local group. Are they strictly a children's authors kind of thing?
No, it was a local writers group in the condominium where I live, and we were really writing and supporting each other. We've petered out since then, and we're not meeting, but I am now meeting regularly with a group of local authors. There's about 20 of us in the group, and about 8 or 10 of us meet monthly to mainly work on marketing.
Mm, it's a good thing. Pool all your resources. Righty. As a children's author over the last several years, are you self-published or traditionally published?
I am self-published. I started with Kindle, with Amazon, and I have since gone with Ingram Spark as well. And so my books are available to libraries, stores, etc.
Have you branched out to use offset printers?
No.
Do you stick with them?
I have stuck with them. I'm exploring some other options, but at this point, no.
And do you use an illustrator?
Yes, when I say an illustrator, she uses Canva as her
Okay.
medium. And I have also used a photographer for my last book, 2 photographers. And for the book I'm currently working on, I'll have both photographers and the person who does the artwork.
Is there any advice that you would give to a new person thinking about becoming a children's author?
Get a mentor. Find someone who has worked with a children's book. Ask them the questions that you need to ask them. Join a group of other children's authors if you can.
That's really good advice. What would you say would be the chore, the thing that you don't like to do as a writer?
Probably the research that goes behind making my scientific personifications 100% accurate. Because as scientific, they cannot have any mistakes in them in terms of the information, and finding the right people to do editing, to work with me to make sure that my content is scientifically correct.
What resource did you use for this kind of research?
Number one, I go to the internet and I look for University of Florida's IFAS, IFAS. I
Oh,
research information through IFAS so that I am getting scientifically correct information. And then I try to find an appropriate person to do some editing for me. For my first book, Just Call Me Honey, which is about honeybees, I ask a local beekeeper who is also professor of natural science at St. Pete College to do the editing. And she found something that I had that was not quite correct. I had the right idea, but my wording did not really show exactly what I meant. And she helped me get that wording right. So I reached out to her for the second book, which is about different types of pollinators. I reached out to a local horticulturalist and worked with her because she's an expert in the area of pollination. And the book is about pollination and the pollinators. And then I also, for the Gopher tortoise book, I have worked with a local veterinarian, and he was also one of my photographers.
I used to be a work camper from the state of Florida, my mom and I, and several of the rangers were very emphatic about finding the gopher tortoises' nests and marking them to make sure that they're off the beaten path and that sort of stuff. We learned quite a bit about that.
Yes.
As I'm fascinated by the beekeepers, and there's been several movies about bees and all that kind of stuff. And I know that they are essential to human beings staying alive in your area with all the problems that you've had recently as far as hurricanes and the pollution that I've been told about, the sewage getting into the water system. Is that affecting your area any, or is it more for further south? If so, what
A
are they
lot.
doing about it?
There were a lot of beehives that were destroyed as a
Oh,
result of the hurricanes, and some that weren't totally destroyed, but bees perished with them. That's the sewage issue has not really affected our beekeepers, to my knowledge, but the storms very definitely did. But of course, bees, as long as there is a queen there, bees will replenish themselves.
how do they find queens? That's what I want to know.
The queen is produced from one of the girls. All the workers are girls. And when they are first born, some are chosen to become queen, and they will feed them a special diet and do some, you need to read my book. They do
I
some,
do.
yes, they do some very special things to turn them into queens. And then they are available to take over the hive when the queen passes away, or if the queen becomes ineffective, basically in her production, they can fight and win the battle to be the queen.
I watch a lot of videos on like YouTube and stuff, and I love when they do that whole let's relocate the swarm
Mhm.
deal. That
Yes.
is
All you
really
gotta do
cool.
is move that queen and the rest are gonna go with them.
And then beekeepers, man, they don't care. They just go in there with their little thing, put a little smoke in there, grab that queen, put her where they need it.
Yep.
In different areas of Florida because I love honey. And but I like Tupelo honey the really best. And my dad got me hooked. He used to live in Alabama before he passed for a number of years, and he likes the gallberry, and that's close. It's not real Tupelo, So in your area, mostly what do you find that,
Now we find wildflower. There was a time it was orange blossom,
oh, yes,
which was very popular, but now it's wildflower. And that honestly comes a great deal from one of our invasive plants, Brazilian pepper.
that's too funny. They even have palmetto honey up
Yes,
here.
there's palmetto honey also. And I
It's
was,
not bad.
no, it's not. I was in Weewa to speak at the library up there Labor Day weekend. And of course, Tupelo honey, that's where it's created. I got Tupelo honey while I was there. And it was my dad's favorite and it's probably my favorite, gallberries being second favorite.
It's amazing that it doesn't last in our house. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. But given time, if
It
nobody messes with it, it'll last for almost forever.
it does last forever. There is no lifespan on honey.
I just keep trying. And I know the poor people, they had hurricanes come in our area, so it come right through the bend there.
Yes.
And so no Tupelo this year either. Okay, as the Gopher tortoises, have you got your books into the state park system, into their bookstores?
I'm working on that. I don't
Okay.
even have my first order of my books yet. So I am waiting on my order, but I am working, trying to get into the state park. I made a list just a couple of days ago of all the state parks that have gift stores because most of them don't, but a few do. So I've made that list and I'm ready once I have my books and can get out and about. And I'll be mailing some things, emailing things, etc.
I just told a young lady about the Stephen Foster Folk Culture Center. Have a huge building, a gift shop, and they take consignment on books.
Good,
Um,
good. It is
you
on
just
my
have to get
list.
on. Yeah. And they have the Florida Folk Festival Memorial Day weekend, but that's a 3-day event, and you have to commit to the whole 3 days to be
Oh,
there.
wow. Yes.
I know. And you have to set up a tent and you have to have accommodations. If you're a camper, you can bring your camper in and they'll put you in the campsite if there's room because they close the park off for the month of May for volunteers and vendors. So if you have a camper, you can camp
Yeah.
inside. But
I don't,
anyway,
but I have a nephew who does, so maybe I could borrow it.
hey, they bring him along, make him work.
Right.
But yeah, that's a great place to get introduced to the state park rangers and all that. They had quite a bit of damage from this last set of hurricanes,
Yes.
but I think ready to open that. Finally, they announced the volunteers could come in and help and get the trees off the buildings, that sort of stuff. But yes, please consider them.
They're definitely on my list. And I'm also looking into the national parks, especially those.
Oh,
I'm thinking of the gift shop down at Everglades.
that would be good. And you can do a little article on your website about how that is accomplished for the rest of us.
I've got to accomplish it first. I'm working hard on that, though.
Is there any advice that you would like to give or share in regards to writing in general, not necessarily children's books, other than getting a mentor and finding a decent editor?
A good editor is absolutely essential, and a good proofreader is essential. I find both of those. And an editor is not always a good proofreader.
This is
Sometimes they
true.
aren't, sometimes they're not. So making sure you have both. And if your content is specific or scientific as mine is, making sure your information is correct. If it's fiction, that's not going to matter. But for nonfiction, being absolutely sure that your content is accurate and that you're not misleading. I reviewed a book on Amazon a couple of days ago where information that they were conveying to the children was not correct. And I hate for children to come up with the idea that is correct whenever it's not.
Yeah. We have an obligation there, unless you say
Yes,
this is a fictionalized account. But
correct.
even still, you should include some real stuff in there too.
Yes,
But whatever. Each has their own writing journey.
true.
And is there any genre that you would like to try in the future?
I haven't really planned any other genres. I did textbooks, and I did think at one point, if I ever have to go through chemotherapy, I'll probably do a devotional book. I did that and did fine. And I might do that again. I have some ideas for doing something with that still, but I have dozens of ideas for doing things with scientific personifications for children. I'm doing elementary, but I have some ideas for preschool also. So that would be
That-
the new and challenging because that's even harder to write, I think, because you're really down there at a very low reading level, very short interest span.
Yeah, and you have to stick to one concept. All righty, Miss Linda, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for joining me, Jolene McFadden, on this episode of Jolene's Books and Writers Talk. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest and found inspiration for your own reading and writing journey. The show is brought to you by Southern Dragon Publishing, helping authors publish, market, and share their stories with the world. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend who loves books as much as you do. Until next time, happy reading, keep writing.